Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be reviewing a new lip product that Peripera came out with. This is their over lip tint. There's a total of 7 shades that came out. Because spring is around the corner, a lot of them are going to be spring and summer shades. But we do have a few transition colors into spring and summer as quite a good mixture of cool and warm tone shades. It claims to be a weightless lip cream formula and it's supposed to create that natural blurry matte finish for your lips. I'm going to be comparing them with other lip products as well to see a similar shade. For the packaging, it looks pretty much similar to the Water Bear Tint. It has a matte finish for the bottle. The brush is probably the most different. It has a round tip, just slightly cave in the center. As part of the promotion, they also add in a mirror. It's a circle mirror, very compact. Alright, so let's go ahead and get swatching. So starting first, this is shade number 1, WARM-BASSADOR. This is a warm light shade and it is more recommended for a base color because of how light it is. For the gradients, you can barely see it, but it is sort of this light beige color. In the promotional pictures, it looks like it has a pink undertone, but I'm not seeing much of it for the gradients look. The formula is a matte finish. It sort of reminds me of Romance Blur Fudge Tint. Sort of this thick, semi-creamy, semi-velvety formula. Seems to fill in the cracks of my lips pretty decent. Very subtle. It does look a little bit powdery for the gradient look. Because it is a gradient look, it does feel quite lightweight. So now this is the full look of shade number 1, WARM-BASSADOR. Again, you do have a light shade color. It looks a lot more beige in person compared to the promotional pictures. In the promotional pictures, it seems to have a little bit of a pinkish coral shade color, but in person you have a light beigey color, a slight coral undertone, but it's very subtle. For my natural base skin tone, it actually doesn't look too bad. It doesn't make my skin look pale, especially for a light color. It's not too light that it makes me look pale. It has a little bit of a muteness, similar to gradients. Like if you look up close, it does look a little bit powdery. I'm just gonna try to blot out some excess product. It does look slightly better. You will be able to see the wrinkles of your lips pretty well, but I think it has a pretty good matte finish, very flattering. It's not as mattifying as Romance Blur Fudge Tint, but it also doesn't feel drying. Definitely does feel a lot more lightweight than Romance Blur Fudge Tint. I think it does lean more towards being a velvet-like formula. For this product, you'll also see from the arm swatch, but it is a little bit difficult to blend this product. You have to work really fast. It is quite pigmented and buildable, but you do have to work fast to blend it. But what that tells me is that it has a good fixing formula as well as stain. So let's go ahead with the transfer test and see how it goes. So you can see it did transfer quite a bit, but the stain is quite pigmented. For a light shade, you can still see the color. It doesn't feel drying, however, we want to prep your lips well beforehand. So here are some comparisons. At the bottom, I have WARM-BASSADOR. On top of that is Romance Blur Fudge Tint, and number 12, Warming Up, and then Ginger Milk Tea from Etude. You can see that Warming Up and WARM-BASSADOR are quite similar to each other, very similar muteness and shade. They do have a little bit of that coral beige color. For Ginger Milk Tea, it's definitely a lot more warm, and it does have more of an orange milky color. Alright, next up we have shade number 2, Cool Starter. This is a cool tone shade. It is also a light shade as well. It's described as being a rosy base color. Again, similar to shade number 1, it's recommended as a base color. Honestly, it is quite light, but this looks very beautiful. It's like a very soft petal on your lips, very MLBB-like. If you're cool toned and you want a natural lip color, I definitely would recommend this one. Very beautiful and classic cool pink color. So it looks pretty much similar to their promotional pictures. Gives a very soft and youthful vibe, perfect for spring and summer. Compared to the previous shade, this is not as light, so it doesn't look as powdery. Over a very beautiful matte finish. For the follow, now we can see a little bit more of a difference. It's a lot more pigmented. You can see more of that cool pink shade color. And again, it does look quite similar to the promotional pictures. It does have a slight peachy undertone, but overall it's going to look like a cool pink color. The more layers that you apply, it does look a little bit more vibrant. I'd say it's semi-brightening. It has a very natural and brightening finish. I do find that you do have to apply a few layers to get a pigmented look. If you do one layer in your lips, there's not a lot of product. Because it's a lighter shade, it did look quite patchy, but this is darker, so it blends very well. So here's a comparison. At the bottom I have Cool Starter, and on top top of that is Strawberry Nude. This is the closest shade that I could find, and they do have a similar muteness. Cool Starter does seem to be slightly brighter, but side by side they do look quite similar to each other. Strawberry Nude is slightly a little bit more mute, and it does have a little bit of purple in it. Alright, next up, this is shade number 3, Pink Check. It's also a cool tone color. It's a summer cool color. It does lean more towards being a mute shade as well. Does add a little bit of a brightening effect to your face because of the fuchsia undertones. So I have this cool fuchsia pink color. Very beautiful for the greens look already. It doesn't look patchy. It creates a very beautiful gradient blurred-like finish on the outer corner of the lips, as well as filling in a little bit of the wrinkles of your lips. For the scent, it does have a sweet shea butter-like scent. Do you get up close, you'll be able to smell it, but it's not overwhelming. It does look quite similar to the promotional pictures as well. By default, that you can see a more vibrant fuchsia pink color. It does get more vibrant the more layers that you apply. It gives a very beautiful brightening effect. It can look like a rosy pink color under some certain lines just because of how vibrant it is. So here's some comparison swatches. At the bottom is Pink Check. On top of that is Cranberry Plum. And then we have Star Plum Pink. Star Plum Pink, it probably looks the most similar. I think you can go a few shades darker / brighter. Next up, we have shade number 4, Coral Laala. This is a spring warm shade. As the name says, it's a coral color. It also is semi-light as well. Very beautiful and flatter shades. This is something that is closer to my palette. I have this very beautiful coral pink color, and again, it does look quite similar to the promotional pictures. It looks a little bit similar to shade number 2, Cool Starter, but it is a warm tone color, and number 2 is cool toned. Very beautiful coral pink color. Overall, it's going to look like a pink shade with coral undertones. And again, it looks quite similar to the promotional pictures. It can look a little bit rosy under some certain lines because of the brightness. For spring and summer, I think it'll be okay to wear, but we're in the winter, it's going to be a little bit too dry, so you're going to need to pay extra attention to lip prepping. So here's a hand comparison with Woman's Fleur Fudge Tint and number 1, Pomoloco. You can see it's a little bit similar to Coral Laala at the bottom. I think Coral Laala does seem to have a little bit more pink in it and less beige, but they have a similar brightness and quite similar side by side. Alright, so next up we have number 5, Vintage Acorn. This is a fall warm shade, and it's described as being a vintage red color. It's also semi-mute as well. Very beautiful and soft pink brown color. It's not too warm. It does look a little bit similar to the promotional pictures. There's not much red in it yet. So now we have the full. Looks super flattering. It has a semi-mute finish. So now for the full, you can see a rosy pink brown color. It does look a little bit red under some certain lightings. Very subtle red undertone, quite similar to the promotional pictures. Perfect for fall, but I think this also looks good transitioning into spring as well. So here are some hand comparisons. At the bottom, I have Vintage Acorn. On top of that is Baked Pecan, and then What Are You Fig from Peripera. What Are You Fig and Vintage Acorn looks the most similar to each other in muteness as well as shade. For Baked Pecan, it's a lot more mute and dark. I also did want to compare a Salmon Brig. It has a very similar undertone, sort of that salmon pink color, but for Salmon Brig, it can go a few shades darker. Next up, we have number 6, Mauve-Treaming. It's a summer mute shade. It's a mauve mute shade, and it also is cool toned. So your classic mauve sweet potato purple shade color. So you know this color has been trending quite lately, and it's very flattering. It looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it would be perfect for summer. Very beautiful and versatile shade color. You can wear this all year round, to be honest. It's just super flattering. So now for the foil, we can see more of a sweet potato purple color. Again, a very classic mauve shade. This probably has the best finish because it's more nude. It gives a very beautiful matte and blurred like finish. So at the bottom I have mauve trimming, mauve nude, and then on top of that is cool rosé. Not as nude as mauve nude, but it's also not as bright as cool rosé. It's sort of like in between. Probably the most similar to cool rosé, but just slightly a little bit more mute. At the bottom here I have dusty beige, which looks a lot more mute. It's probably a little bit closer to mauve-ish from Romance Blur Fudge Tint, but I can't find it right now. It's very frustrating. Alright, so last but not least we have shade number 7, Cooling Up Pink, and it's a fall cool shade. It's also described as a bright plum color. So I have this plum berry shade color. Very, very flattering for anyone who's cool toned. I feel like now you have a more pigmented berry purple shade color. Very flattering, again it's summer brightening because of violet undertones in this. For this type of shade color, I do find that it's a little bit difficult to have an even application, so just make sure that you blend well and evenly. For our last comparison swatch, I have Cooling Up Pink at the bottom, Rose Lilac, and then Coral Rose Up. Rose Lilac is a little bit more dark and it does have more purple in it. It doesn't have much of that fuchsia undertone. For Coral Rose Up, I think it looks almost similar to Cooling Up Pink. So I have that fuchsia purple shade color. Alright everyone, so I went ahead and I did my intro and outro lip combo. I used number 1, WARM-BASSADOR as my base, and then I went in with number 5 in the inner corner of my lips. Very beautiful, and they pair very well. In conclusion, very beautiful shade colors. We do have a little bit of similarity with previous shade colors that are already out in the market, and I can't wait to wear them for spring and summer. There's also a few shades to transition to spring and summer as well, so you can wear it now. For the formula, I'd say it's very similar to Romance Blur Fudge Tint. You sort of have this thick, semi-creamy, semi-velvety. The biggest difference between Peripera and Romance is that Romance is a lot easier to blend. For Peripera, it doesn't dry my lips, but it does feel slightly drying because it's a matte finish. However, I do like the finish. It gives a very beautiful gradient, blurred like effect. It also has a really good stain as well. Probably the biggest advantage is that it doesn't smudge as easily as Romance. I'm not really a big fan of the brush tip because the product just kind of gets stuck in the middle. It also blends really well with other lip products as well. It creates a very beautiful gradient look. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I had a lot of fun watching these. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.